Here we go again. Once again, Robert Amsterdam will be joining us live from our studio here in Columbia, South Carolina, and Washington, D.C. He will be speaking with respect to the return of Tundul Lissu in Tanzania. Robert Amsterdam will join with American Swahili News and Swahili Villa Online TV live today, January 24th, 2023. Robert Amsterdam, I just played a clip a little bit just to remind our listeners and our viewer with American Swahili News and Swahili Villa Online TV with respect to what I've just alluded about the return of Tundul Lissu and what the Tanzania, especially the Chademas, they have gone through for the past 6 years. Welcome to our show again, and tell us exactly where are you, and welcome, Robert Amsterdam.
Well, thank you very much. It's a really important moment in the history of Tanzania. We've had the first free assembly of Chadema just in the last few days. Tundul Lissu is going to be back in the country. Political parties are now being allowed to exercise basic constitutional rights. This is a big change. And I think we need to stress that while I salute and applaud what the president has done, this is how democracies function. This is not a special dispensation of this president. This is how normal democracies function. And we need to just understand how far CCM and Magufuli took this country away from basic constitutional and democratic principles.
Robert Amsterdam, this is Dr. Patrick Ngula speaking here live from Columbia studio. And let me start this conversation. We've just alluded about the Chadema just started the assembling in Mwanza, and then they moved to the northern region, Mara, and then now they're getting prepared to welcome back home Tundul Lissu. Let's talk about the human rights now, because this is the international law that protect the right for an individual to live. Where are we with respect to Tundul Lissu? Because we have not heard anything about ongoing, let's say, process to find out or any investigations about what happened to him a couple years ago in Tanzania.
Well, I mean, to be fair, the government has never had a proper inquiry into the attempted assassination that left him riddled with 16 bullets. The government, as you know, after the last election, Tundu had to flee again. And in the last election, we were met with bogus legal obstacle after bogus legal obstacle. And I think this is why Chadema has said very bluntly that the most important thing to be addressed, as well as the economy, is the Constitution. A new Constitution is critical for the country before the next election. And that Constitution has to have an independent electoral commission. That Constitution has to have the president taken off essentially the monarch model and put back into a model of democratic governance, because right now it is the president that appoints the heads of all the other segments of government. And this Constitution is really built for a one-party state, and we need to bring it into the modern age and the democratic age.
You have alluded a very key component that the new constitution in Tanzania must be installed with respect to the what has been going on with the president has a lot of power. So let me take you back now to what we have discussed almost like 2 years ago with respect to the reconciliations or the ongoing discussions that has been going on now Chadema party with the ruling party Chama cha Mapinduzi. Do you think these negotiations or the discussion that they've been having is going to result with a good outcome? What is your opinion with respect to that?
Look, it's not for me to judge. I'm not in those meetings, and I don't want to throw out opinions that are uneducated. I would just say that we're in a very unique situation where I think the president is reaching out to opposition parties because she's a brilliant politician and she realizes that she's got a lot of opposition within her own party. And there is a need for her to do some consensus building beyond those who want to drag Tanzania back to the bulldozer era of Magufuli. And I think she is wisely reaching out to opposition parties to drum up more of a national consensus on basic issues, which will frankly support her within the CCM. And the clock is ticking. We are past the time when Tanzanians will just sit back quietly and allow these basic rights to be taken from them. But I would point out that this president was the first president to visit Xi Jinping in China after the last party Congress. The Chinese are making moves. They're always comfortable dealing with a one-party state. So there are going to be a lot of pressures and a lot of tensions on the president going forward from many directions as we enter into another set of elections in 24 and 25.
American international or foreign policy is pretty much straightforward when it comes to human rights and civil rights in any states around the world. You have just alluded that President Samia Suluhu Hassan had a state visit in China. And now China and the United States, they do have this what we call the tug war or the new era war between them. So, what do you think with respect to United States when they see Samia Suluhu Hassan pivot to China and United States foreign policy? It's a little bit different compared to what Tanzania is doing at this moment. What's your opinion with respect to that?
Well, look, I think the United States is doing, under President Biden, is doing a real effort at catch up. But there's a hell of a lot of catch up that has to be done with China. China is, in many ways, way out in front. They're so far out in front that it's really bit them in some countries where their importation of mass numbers of people and really a structure that denigrates rule of law and really pushes forward sort of the worst type of big man corruption that goes on in some of these countries. That's something that many in CCM will probably be quite close to. So the United States, in terms of issues like rule of law, it is in the American interest to see that that Tanzania moves towards a more democratic, free society.
I think I just muted myself. Okay, let me take this back now. The conversations to Democratic Republic. You have just mentioned a few minutes ago about Samia Suluhu Hassan. She's a very smart politician. She's bringing both parties together. They have just started the conversation. I think I've lost him. Oh, he's back. And now we're seeing to some extent that Tanzania is going back to the where it was, let's say 30 years ago. What? Let's get back now to Tundul Lissu. He's going to be touched down in Tanzania tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time in Tanzania, or Eastern African time. So, do you think that the presence of Tundul Lissu in Tanzania will accelerate the democracy, the justice, and the human rights in Tanzania? Walk us through in that area.
Well, look, I honestly think we are in an area where we can't do that. I mean, I believe Tundu's presence is going to be salutary. I think it's going to be extremely important. Uh, Equally important is going to be the reaction of CCM and those in government to determine the level of political space they're going to allow him. Remembering Tundu's a lawyer, he is somebody who fully understands the complex issues around the Constitution. He's very conversant with the last time Tanzania attempted to revise its Constitution 10 years ago. And, I think he can play a very important role, but it is going to be up to an entire cast of characters well beyond just Tundu to determine how constructive this period of time will be. And I hope the president is sincere. I hope that this momentum will continue. But I don't think any of us have any guarantees. He touches down tomorrow. God willing, all will be well. And, as I've said time and time again, he's an incredibly heroic man. Um, to me, it's pretty clear that his shooting was a political shooting. The people who shot him have not been apprehended. They are still at large in Tanzania, I am assuming. So obviously, this trip and his activities are still fraught with risk.
So the people who committed that crime, they have not been apprehended, as you've just said. So where do we go now? He's going back home. He'll be in Tanzania, and he's secure. I mean, if you look at the security itself, it's a 50-50. The government of Tanzania, they have not said anything about his protections and his family. So where do we go now, Robert Amsterdam? Because everything, it looks like it's in a gray area when it comes to his safety. Take us or walk us through with that within that area.
Well, firstly, I wouldn't talk about it. I don't think it's my role to talk about his safety, other than to say we've obviously made provision for the best and the worst. I think the situation is new, obviously, and fluid, and a lot of care has to be exercised by the president to ensure his safety and to ensure those rogue elements, those Magafuli elements within the CCM, don't in any way feel empowered and attack Lisu in some form of way to get at the president. So, I mean, obviously, this is a great opportunity, but it's also a great challenge, not only for Chadema, but for CCM.
Robert Amsterdam, let me ask you this question now. It's going to be going directly to the president of United Republic of Tanzania. Do you think she deserves some of the credits for what she has been done so far with respect to the political space in Tanzania?
Well, look, absolutely, she deserves credit for taking a step that is to some extent out of sync with many in her party, and I think uh, that's emblematic of a politician with brains and courage, because she knows that there are these elements in her party that are from the Stone Age, and she needs to uh, control that if this, the demographics of Tanzania, which are, as with most of East Africa, getting younger and younger, if she's going to appeal to that demographic, and if Tanzania is going to appeal to foreign investors. Uh, it could not have been more inhospitable to investment than under Magufuli. They've got to change a suite of legislation if they're going to be amenable to foreign investors. And from the foreign investment standpoint, bringing Lissu back is a brilliant move. It's good for the economy. It's a terrific sign to Western investors that rule of law could be making its way back. And I think she should be complimented. I think it's all part of one package to bring back rule of law and run the country like a modern democracy.
Robert Amsterdam, thank you very much for taking your time speaking with the American Swahili News and Swahili Villa Online TV. So, welcome back again. And what is your last word now with respect to the return of Tundul Lissu? And you have touched a very sensitive area, foreign direct investments, and the return of Tundul Lissu will spike to some extent. The Western countries or the Western companies will now thinking about at least to go back and invest in Tanzania. What is your last word with respect to that?
Look, my last word would be not to forget the sacrifices of Chadema, not to forget the months in jail spent by the present party chairman Maboa, not to forget all of the fights we've had, not to forget the fact that we can't go into another election with a corrupt electoral commission appointed by a president who simply wants a fraudulent ballot. There's a lot of change in the future in Tanzania if we're going to have a fair and equitable country, as well as a decent, hard-fought election. But the return of Tundul Lissu is a very positive step. It ticks every box in terms of Tanzania coming back into the fold of democratic governance. And obviously, I'm praying for Tundu and wish everyone well in this new age.
Thank you very much again for joining us. You're welcome to come back, and I wish you a happy new year. And welcome back again, Mr. Amsterdam.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.